Hey everybody, KC0VI Tom here. It is a gorgeous afternoon here in North Iowa. A little humid, humidity probably 80%, temperatures rising up there. It's going to be real hot and muggy tomorrow, and chance of thunderstorms late in the afternoon or overnight. Typical August weather. The drought's over with, so it's actually on the other side. Now we got ample water. We got problems in low-lying areas. We're seeing a lot of trees in those areas that are actually shutting down. The leaves are turning, and the trees had enough stress, and it's going to go to bed for springtime. We're here to talk about ComJot CJ1. If you're new to the channel, I haven't heard or saw the videos, I've done some updates on this before. This is a neat little radio. This will probably be the last update. The next time we'll talk about the ComJot will be more of a review of the product, because this thing was released a couple years ago at Dayton. It was announced. You could do a pre-order, and for some reason Gigapart sent me mine. They sent a bunch of them out before they were supposed to, and a lot of those people have either turned them in, or just sitting on them. When I was talking to Joe down at ComJot, he says, if you want to be a beta tester, you're more than welcome to. So I volunteered, and I've been helping, beta testing the radio, coming up with, see bugs and verifying what I'm seeing, what the other beta testers are reporting. What had happened here a couple weeks ago, Joe announced that the final version is almost done. You want to make sure that all the beta testers have submitted all their bug reports. Any bugs out there we haven't submitted, make sure you get it in. And also any new features that you would like to see, nothing guaranteed, just something, we got some time and some space, maybe we can put a couple features in there that we haven't thought of. Well, the first thing I thought was a DTMF pad. It could be on the screen. It doesn't have to be a hardware DTMF pad. And I just got a response back from Joe with a question mark. So I explained to him, most of the controllers out there, amateur radio repeaters, have a controller that is DTMF controlled. So a good example here in St. Ansgar, I can bring up the St. Ansgar repeater, send it a series of DTMF keystrokes, and it'll change power. It will shut off the transmitter. It will force analog only. It will turn the transmitter, on or off. It will reboot the whole repeater if I wanted to get, if it's acting strange, do a lightning strike or nearby strike, I can force a reboot so it gets a fresh start on the CPU. And there's a lot of neat features you can do it. And somebody else in the group popped up there and says, don't forget about Echolink. There's a lot of neat features in Echolink that you can actually control through a DTMF pad. Another thing I'd like to see is some type of scan feature. If you had one of the memory channels, say 6 or 7 channels, the local repeater, Simplex 5.2, local police, fire, rescue squad, something that you can scan through. Just not a lot of channels, but just something, small channels. So we'll see what happens. Nothing's guaranteed, remember. That was a couple weeks ago, and the other day he announced that the C4 FM is almost done. It'll be in this final version. There was some talk it may not be in it. It may be an add-on later on. Now remember, this is all open architect. Anybody can write an app for this. It's Android based. So if you're good at writing apps and you're into amateur radio, take a look at this. On that, why don't we go inside before the neighborman comes by with the lawnmower, and we'll look at a little better look at some of the new features that are in the CJ1. We'll talk a little more. Like I said, this will be coming out, firmware finalized. They have already put a request out, and it's been filled for beta testers for the CJ-2. Joe was telling me about all the requirements going to be, what changes they're looking at doing with this, and want to know if I want to do it. I declined it. I want to play around with this thing. I got a new toy. I haven't had a chance to play with this that much. So let's go inside, take a look at what this radio is all about. Here we got it all set up. Again, it's an Android cell phone. Now this is not my primary cell phone. This is kind of like my secondary cell phone. I have a widget for radar, so I turn it on and grab it. I can see what the radar is doing out there, and down at the bottom of the apps I use quite a bit. Then I got some normal apps here I use, radar apps, amateur radio apps, some other information apps. Some apps for my security cameras outside. We'll click on the unified app, and that will launch. It takes a few seconds here, not quite. It's getting better. It used to take longer. Now it's loading faster and faster. The unit fully gets up. You got to please wait, and there we go. Nice display. You got clock in one corner, then you got your battery life in the other one. It'll tell you that the APRS is on. Whatever channel you have left on when you shut down the system, and how you have it labeled. It'll show it up here in the white area. And it gives your call sign, and down the bottom there's a couple soft keys you can hit. Now if you touch the white area, that's kind of a quick deal. You can go into analog FM, digital DMR, AMSAT, or DMR over IP. And this is kind of a quick way you can go in there and change or add frequencies. Same thing with the DMR side. You can go in there and change the frequency or the DMR settings. And on the DMR over IP, same field there. You can actually create a new one or modify one depending on what you have set up. The AMSAT, something new that came out here not too long ago. It doesn't seem to work for me inside. If we were outside, it would lock up fairly good. I don't quite understand, because it does show my latitude, longitude, and it's calculating the satellites. It's got a nice map here. It'll show you where the satellites are at, and it'll give you actual directions on which way to point the antenna and the frequency, stuff like that. So it's kind of cool. Down here, the channel button, this selects the cloud memory or the unified directory or a repeater map. The cloud memory channel is a set of channels and memory banks you set up on the profile web page. You create your little folders here and you put in the frequencies. I got the VHF and the UHF repeaters on DMR, my county channels, my specialty channels, and FRS and GMRS. You go in there and select it, and it will actually load it into the RF deck. You come down here, and if you select the unified repeater guide, that uses your GPS settings, and it goes out so many miles for the local repeaters in your area. Then you go in there and you can select it and load that into the RF deck. And I'm still learning my way around this. You got the repeater map down here. Again, nice map. You usually are in there, so there's a little dot. It's underneath the ID for that repeater. But you can scroll around and see all the repeaters in your area. The center button, radio teams, is a kind of a new feature they have. Is the idea is if you're a SR, a search and rescue team, or if a group of guys out camping, you'd lump them all together into one nice easy folder. You can see who's on the air. You scroll at the bottom. I wish that little scrolling feature was larger. You could cut down the map size, but we'll see how that goes. And you can send messages, back and forth. Options, it'll show you what version and the beta of the software you're on. Now, there was talk about being a subscription service to some of these features, but ComJot decided they are not going to do that. Thank you very much. Device information, that gives more information on the radio, serial number, who's it registered to, the DMR number, my location. It'll use the GPS and display roughly where you're at. That's not correct, but it's darn close. The grid number is, grid square is correct. Then you have the sound management. That just tells, you can select what sound will be used for each of the announcements or notification. APRS, you can configure that there. Right now that's not work off from the website. You set up your radio teams. You can turn off the push to talk. You can disable that so it's just receive only. For some reason you needed that. Your microphone gains for the RF deck and for over the IP. You can turn either English or metric on your display for feet or inches. Call sign lookups, got like a little QRZ. You can put somebody's call sign in. Amateur radio toolbox. This is kind of interesting. Select that there. There's a lot of different stuff you can actually calculate. If you hit antenna length calculator, you select the frequency and it'll tell you how long to cut the wire. If you submit your Skywarn reports electronically, there is a form here you can put in for Skywarn. The HF conditions, I thought this was kind of weird. I mean, this is not an HF radio, but it's nice to have. It's handy. I wouldn't say weird, different. I'll get back down here, and that's it. So, battery life, I'm getting some fairly decent battery life. I can go all day long with the RF deck on and one or two apps, except for the police scanner app. For some reason, and it's not just on this device, my other devices, that will drain a battery fairly fast. So it's not the hardware problem, it's more of a software problem with that app. I have nothing bad to say about this radio. It has been fun playing around with it. Well, that's in a nutshell. Duke and I are going to probably pack the camper up and try to get some camping in. Haven't had much chance to do that this year with all the different car shows going on. And we'll have to swing down there to the campground first. I was in there last week and it was still pretty soggy from all the rains. So on that, 7-3, take care.
Be sure to tell your friends, neighbors, other hams. Subscribe, hit that bell to get notification when new videos come out. Add comments below. 7-3 everybody.